Dear students, today we will have a discussion on the famous poem Ode to Autumn, written by a great poet, John Keats. The John Keats, the last romantic poet, wrote this last poem, Ode to Autumn, that was published in 1820, in which he explored his critical thinking about autumn after doing analysis of this season. Nature highly influenced John Keats, therefore he always tried to find a chance to praise its beauty. Autumn season usually creates a type of sensation in the hearts of poets. Many poets desperately wrote about the autumn season, whereas others glorified its beauty. John Keats, in this ode, too exaggerates the beauty of autumn season. He wrote a letter to his friend on September 22, 1819, in which he wrote, "How beautiful the season is now, how fine the air, a temperate sharpness about it, really without joking, chaste weather, dying skies. I never liked shuttle fields so much as now, I better than the chilly green of spring. Somehow a shuttle plane looks warm in the same way that some pictures look warm. This struck me so much in my Sunday's walk that I composed upon it." This ode to Autumn, is full of passion and excitement. He is very much delighted after seeing nature around him in the autumn season. Thus, he shows to his readers the power of his imagination. He skillfully knits everything in this ode, hence the same contains many beautiful images. It should be remembered that John Keats was the most idealist poet, hence perhaps it is the only reason due to which he is called the last but best romantic poet, as evident from this great poem, Ode to Autumn. John Keats, now let us have a discussion stanza by stanza. In stanza first, John Keats sees autumn as a season of mist. It may be unattractive for many people, but Keats doesn't rebuke the mist. In fact, he can never rebuke any object of nature. In his opinion, the autumn season, with the help of sun rays, ripens fruits of all kinds. So he says that sun is the close bosom friend of the autumn season. With the help of the sun, or the warmth of the sun, the fruits are ripened in this season. There is nothing in the poetry of John Keats except description of natural images, as he does not think from any other angle. Thus, there is nothing in his poetry except nature and its related objects. He then paints some more images in this stanza, such as apple juice, branches of trees, wine, flowers, hazelnuts, and bees. From critical analysis of the very first stanza of the Ode to Autumn, readers realize the antipodal thinking of John Keats. Autumn has often been described in poetry as a symbol of melancholy, hopelessness, and despair. But in the view of John Keats, this season brings joys, happiness. As a consequence, the critics have rightly judged John Keats as a poet of nature, because nature never disappoints him, nor does it make him sad, rather it delights him. We also realize that the poet doesn't escape from the world of reality. He keeps his subject matter as simple as possible. There is no second meaning of this poem. He talks about the autumn season, and autumn means autumn. No symbol has been attached to any word. Keats' poetry is for laymen. He never uses far-fetched metaphors, nor does he portray ambiguous images. His poetry is lucid Hence, one does not need any specific dictionary to understand his poetry. In the second stanza of the poem, the poet illustrates 4 pictures of the autumn season. Firstly, he personifies it as a woman who has been sown as a harvester doing winnowing. Secondly, he personifies it as a tired reaper. Thirdly, he sees autumn as a collector or a gleaner. And fourthly, he gives autumn season attributes of cider presses who obtains juice of fruits, usually of apples, for making wine. In this stanza, the poet personifies the autumn, which is one of the major attributes of Greek literature. Greeks' myths were about giving human characteristics to clouds, sun, rain, wind, and mountains. It is the case with John Keats. He, time and again, personifies natural objects. Ode to Grecian Urn is a remarkable example of it, in which he sketches an alive picture of Greeks. The poet provides a colored picture of the autumn season. Keats' poetry affects all 5 senses. Readers can't only imagine the pictures but also hear the sounds that he describes in this poem. It is therefore, critics say, that he does poetry for the sake of poetry and not for the purpose of reformation. In the second stanza, the poet excitedly asks questions. In the very beginning of this stanza, he asks, "Where are the songs of spring? Where are they?" In many poems, readers can observe the technique of putting 2 opposite things in juxtaposition. For instance, in Ode to Nightingale, he compares the mortality of human beings with the immortal songs of Nightingale. When he says that where are the songs of spring, where are they? And the poet now conveys the message to the readers that the past is past. Spring is pleasant. Spring is beautiful. But autumn season has its own music. Autumn has its own charm. And we must not regret the passing of spring, but we must welcome the advent of autumn season, because autumn has its own music and its own charm and pleasures. From deeper critical analysis of Ode to Autumn, it is evident that he compares spring with autumn. Although the spring season is the season of blossoming of flowers, the autumn season has its own importance. It is the season of mist, and that is enough for John Keats. The poet describes what he wrote in his letter to his friend. In autumn, the poet finds pleasure in subtle fields covered red due to sunlight, grasshoppers chirping, and twitter of the swallows in the skies. All these beautiful songs are there. Then there is no need to find or hear any song of spring. The poet wants to say that autumn has its own attributes, just like other seasons. Compared to the spring season, autumn is rich as it gives fruits and such sounds which are pleasing for the ears. At last, but not the least, everything in this ode is loud and clear, describing fields to glorification of songs of insects. The poet uses techniques of simplicity, hence there is a Greek spirit in this ode. And the poet is very much influenced by the sights and sounds of this season. The setting of the sun, the rosy color that is falling on the plains, the bleating of lambs, chirping of birds, twittering of the swallows in the skies, the whistling of the redbreast, and all these sounds and sights attracts the attention of the poet. And therefore he says that every season is important and has its glory, and we must welcome it, we must enjoy it. Thanks.